On this week's episode of BJ in the Morning, we're going to break down our favorite scary movie. Let's go. Welcome to BJ in the Morning, and welcome to our spooky set. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Juan.
And, like we said, this is BJ in the Morning.
Brendan?
Juan?
As the time of recording. At the time of recording.
At the day that we're recording this.
It is October 1st.
October 1st. Spooky.
And when we were texting about October, I said, "'Tis the season.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season." And 'tis my favorite season.
The spooky season?
Yes.
Awesome.
So, with that said, we got some spooky stuff for the set.
Yeah, a little bit. Little things here or there.
Let's not point out all the differences. Maybe somebody can guess what we got different on here.
What's different?
What's different?
What's different? Besides, I'm wearing a beanie because it is fall.
And it's definitely not the big it behind me.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But keep an eye out for this whole month. We're doing spooky themed BJ in the Morning.
Yes, for the next 4 to 5 episodes.
Spooky themed.
Spooky themed, Halloween themed.
Just all kinds of fall vibes.
All around October.
October vibes. October BJ in the Morning.
BJ's in the spooky morning.
Was
that good?
I saw where you were going.
Yeah.
I don't think you made it.
Well,
we'll figure it out later.
It's October.
It's October is
and
what
it's getting windy.
It's
getting a little brisk.
At night, not
in
so
the mornings
the
as well.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I love it.
I've been driving after work. I've been getting off really late. But after work, just driving home with the windows down for the first time since February.
Yeah.
So nice.
It's very nice.
But we're not talking about fall vibes today. We're talking about scary movies. Movies that have scared you one way or the other.
More specifically, spooky movies.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
And shivers down your spine.
Yeah. But this is a topic that I think we could go on for hours with. So might as well jump right into it. Just jump right into it.
First things first, though, we're doing a top 10. So top 10, our favorite. Now, with that said, me, myself,
yourself,
and Brendan, we are both huge horror / thriller fans.
Yes.
And it was hard to kind of break it down to only 10.
I agree. And it was also really it was tough to say oh, do I want to put this one on my list because at least for me, I was like, do I want to put this one on my list because maybe people haven't seen it or haven't heard about it? And I was like, nah, fuck that. And then it went from, should I put I'm just going to say A Nightmare on Elm Street series on there because I love those movies. Should I put those on there because they're spooky and they're Halloween movies? And I don't know, my brain was all over the place. And I finally narrowed it down to a list of 10 movies that whenever it becomes October, these are the movies that I want to watch.
Okay.
And I've watched 3 of them in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
On my list. So.
Same here.
Because I had to make sure where I wanted them on my list.
Yeah. Now I will say, before we jump into it, we do have a couple of series / sequels that
movies with multiple entries.
Yeah, I feel like if we split them up, that would have racked up 10 movies very quickly.
Right, especially for some of these
So
series.
we just kept them as a series, as a whole, and then we can explain maybe which ones we didn't like as much or whichever ones make it on your top 10.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it does to me because we talked about it.
Does that make sense, Brendan?
It does make sense.
Do you understand?
I understand. I understand the assignment.
All right. So we're going to get started. Brendan, do you want to kick it off with your number 10?
My number 10. So I moved them around on my notes many times. And the one I'm starting with today, I feel like some people might disagree that this is a horror movie. But that's why I wanted to specify a lot of it is like, these are scary type movies. They're dealing with horror elements, right? Yeah. So the first one on my list is one of my all-time favorite movies. And it's Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So I'm a firm believer that Jurassic Park is in the genre of horror movies.
First one specifically?
The first one, yeah. Just the first one. I think they got more action-y as time went on. They're less scary. But I do think the first Jurassic Park movie is pretty scary. Like when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's really dark, the rain, storms, all that kind of stuff. And then there's monsters on this island that you cannot get off of.
Yeah.
That is horror
And then watching that, as a kid, maybe you're just like,
I had nightmares from this movie.
Terrified.
But also the mask scared me as a kid. So like, I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, no, I think Jurassic Park, the first one specifically, and especially like I said, it falls into the category for me because this is technically a monster in the house type movie where there's something around trying to kill you.
And they don't really reveal.
Yeah,
they don't reveal the dinosaur or the T-Rex specifically.
Until the rain, when it comes down the rain. And like everything leading up to it is like, there's something there, especially that first opening scene of the movie where you don't know what's in the cage, but it eats some dude, right in front of you, and the fingers are going through the arm,
Yeah.
And Muldoon's just like, shoot, and you're like, what's in it? But
no, a fucking box.
Yeah. That's the first one on my list. Just, it is to me, stylistically a horror movie.
Yeah.
The setting's great. It's out in the wilderness. And there's monsters on the loose. I don't get how it wouldn't fit in here. And it's just one of my all-time favorite movies, period. So yeah.
Awesome. That's not a horror movie, Brendan.
Fuck you. What's number 10 on your list?
My number 10 is one that I didn't watch until you told me to watch it.
Oh,
once.
Okay.
It came out in 2014. I think I may have tried to watch it before, but you told me to watch it in 2016. When we were trying to film a movie. Do you know what that movie is?
The movie that we were filming, or the movie that I'm talking about?
No, the movie that
you were talking about.
Yeah.
What? The one that we were shooting?
No.
The one that I told you to watch.
Yeah.
It Follows?
No.
Oh? That one came out around then, I thought.
Cabin in the Woods.
Okay, that's on my list as well.
I love Cabin in the Woods. Especially because, for one, Thor's in it. Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
But that's not the only reason why I love it. I love the horror aspect. The cheesy, driving up to a cabin. The cheesy running into a creepy guy while putting gas.
Yeah.
It's all like on purpose, obviously.
It's all
like,
the cliches.
The cliches. And then it is pretty terrifying. And then the twist of the movie where like everything's being controlled by like people.
Yeah.
And like, well, the biggest twist is what, like they're sacrificing for like a demon or
the what do they call them? The like immortals or whatever that live underground. And if you don't sacrifice, I think it's 5 or 6, right? The virgin can live or die. It doesn't matter. But they have to die in order, at the hands of these monsters, these like creatures that are all stored in a warehouse, basically.
Yeah. I thought that movie was so fucking interesting. Like not only was it a good horror type movie, but it was a good movie overall. And even though like I feel like the twist kind of took the horror element out of it,
Yeah.
but it was still really good and really interesting.
Yeah, so Cabin in the Woods is on my list, so I'm checking it off. So when we get to where it is on my list, I'll just say it was Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
No, but I remember not knowing anything about this movie when it first came out, and I was like, "Oh, it looks like Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I want to watch it."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. There's something about it. All the characters are pretty interesting. I have it a little higher on my list than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that it was in my top 5 for a while until I recently rewatched it, and I think a lot of the problems that people had with Joss Whedon come out a lot now. Like I get that the movie's supposed to be stereotypes and like cliches and everything like that, and some of it is a little over the top.
Mm-hmm.
But then you think like it's supposed to be, and you get over it, you know,
Yeah.
like, but I think the movie is funny and it is scary. There's some scary moments in it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All the different types of monsters and everything, really add to like the like, oh shit, this is kind of creepy.
Yeah, and then when you see like even like I saw recently a picture of like them standing in front of the whiteboard of all the stuff that's
Yeah.
on there. You don't get to see everything, but at the same time, it's like I want to see that.
No, and I think
all of it. I want to see
it would be cool to see like another exercise. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, or maybe like a
prequel type of
Yeah.
deal, like before the warehouse and they're storing all these creatures and things like that, you know? Because there is a lot of creatures on this list. You know, there's ghosts and there's goblins and zombies and mutants and chupacabra, yeah. And I still love the merman scene, where the guy's really pissed he's never gonna see a merman, and then
Yeah.
that's what gets him, and it's just spewing out blood. And they even say like, "Oh, you don't want to see a merman; it gets messy." And you're like, "How?"
Yeah.
And then it happens, and he's just spewing blood out of the blowhole.
Yeah. Blowhole.
So funny, so good. Playing into those tropes of horror movies.
Yeah.
So I really love that movie as well. And I think I told you to watch that movie because it was a big inspiration for the movie we were writing and filming at the time. Which is funny that you brought it up today because I'm in the process of moving and I found the binder with the script in it.
Really?
With all the notes, and there's still blood on some of the pages, and I don't know, it just made me laugh. Someday we'll make it. That's my baby.
Yeah, one day.
But what's next on your list?
My number 9 is Sinister.
Okay.
And Sinister is a fairly old movie. I mean, it's 2012. It came out, the first one. And I don't know. The first time I watched that movie, it imprinted in my brain, you know? So anytime I think of horror movies, I always think of Sinister. And there's times where I'm like, I want to watch Sinister, and I just go watch it.
Yeah.
Sinister 2 is really not the greatest, but I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. I really like the first movie, Sinister.
I can't tell you if I've ever watched this movie.
It's good.
I'll have to take a look because it is spooky season and horror movies need to be watched.
Yeah, watch them both because I do think the second one is still good. It's just not as good. So like the second one wouldn't make it onto my list if we were breaking it down.
Yeah.
But the first one is really good and really interesting, and it's like I don't know, like a ghost haunted house type of deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned to you at the beginning, like I don't really have any ghost things on mine, so I need to watch more ghost stuff. I can't really put Casper on this list, you know. And then since we aren't doing terrifying, and since we aren't doing like we specified movies, and not shows, like I have ghost shows that I would have put on here, you know what I mean? But I'll have to look into it. Like I said, I don't think I've seen it.
So what is your number 9?
So my number 9 is a series of multiple movies. So many movies that they got really bad after a while. There's still, I think there's 5 of them, and there's one in the works right now. So this movie, I'm gonna read you the synopsis of it. So it's an American horror franchise that includes 5 films, 2 comics, and 9 novels, and it's based on an unproduced spec script originally written for the X-Files TV show. All of its 5 films are set around a small group of people who escape impending death after one individual sees a sudden premonition. After avoiding their foretold deaths, the survivors are killed one by one in bizarre accidents. So, Final Destination.
Final Destination. And yes, they got really bad.
But even the bad ones are so fun to watch. I think the 5th one was in 3D because it came out when it was all in 3D. Was it the 4th one? One of them.
To be honest, I saw the first one and then I saw the 5th one. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I saw the first one when I was younger, and then when the 5th one came out, I don't even know how old I was at that time.
When the 5th one came out?
Yeah.
I think it was in like 2011.
Something like that. 11
it
or
was
13.
2011. Yep.
And I watched it in 3D and I was just like, what is the hype on this? You know? And it's just like, me and Maria went back and watched all of them.
Yeah.
And she loves them. She loves every single one.
But
I like the first 3.
I love the first 3. The first one is definitely scarier than the rest.
The first one is definitely made like
a 2000s horror, like teen horror movie, you know? Like there's some drama, it's very 2000s.
But the first one kind of like paved the path, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was a first of its kind, I guess, in a way. And
like death is always there. Death is going to come get you, and death is an entity, you know?
Yeah.
It is a thing. I think out of all of these movies, though, the one I've seen the most is the 3rd one. With Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's, I don't know, the whole opening where they're on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Anytime I go to amusement parks now, that's all I think of. But like these movies scarred people, you know what I mean? Like a generation of people. It's like, how often are you driving behind a truck with a bunch of logs? Us, not so much here in Arizona, but like when you're driving behind a truck that's hauling like big tubes or pipes or whatever, and they're hanging out the end.
Impale you.
Yeah, you're thinking of this movie, you know? When you're sitting in traffic and you don't know what's gonna go on. When you get on an airplane, you know, it's all these things. Like these movies pop into my head frequently, you know? They're still pretty low on my list, and I think it's because of the Final Destination and Final Destination 5 just being so like cheesy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Saw movies. It gets down to like, you're like, how the first one's scary, the second one's like teeter-tottering, you know? And then after that it's like, meh.
I'm going to cheat a little bit. Is Saw on your list?
No.
Okay, so honorable mention is Saw. Because
first ones.
I do like Saw, but it didn't make my list. Now that you brought it up, I was just like, I do really like the Saw movies.
I love the first one so much because it was like an independent film for the most part, you know?
Yeah.
It was really low budget. It all took place in basically one room with 2 actors.
I do like as the movies went on and on, that the music got more intense.
For Saw?
Yeah, just like,
yeah. Like they started adding more people to the band.
Yeah, just like it just started with just like a piano. Like, and
then you play bass? Yeah, but
anyway,
I have a lot of honorable mentions that I wanted to put on my list, but we can speed through a couple of those towards the end. But what's the number next on your
number 8?
Number 8 for you? What's number 8?
My number 8 was surprisingly what's the word? Crap.
It was crap?
No, it's not crap.
What
surprisingly, it was I was told to watch it. Suggested.
You were suggested.
It was suggested through a TikTok.
Okay.
And you know, people get all crazy on there, like, go watch this movie.
Go watch this movie right now.
It's called The Last Shift.
The Last Shit?
Shift.
My bad.
Last Shift. And it's also an older movie. It's made in 2014. But I didn't watch it till literally this year. And that movie, it is low budget, but it is fucking terrifying.
Yeah?
And it is like very interesting that it's like a cast of like 4 people. The main actress is alone most of the time. And like the ghosts and the apparitions that she's seeing are like the only other actors in this movie.
Okay.
It is horrifying.
Yeah?
It is scary.
I don't know this movie.
You should watch it. And just real quick, if I could show you the image of like
He's gonna show me the
art.
image, not so much the audio listeners.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's pretty scary.
Pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
But I heard, and I wanted to watch it because it seemed interesting, and I heard that the director of this movie was like remaking it or doing something. I know he was gonna like name it different, but remake the movie essentially. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna check it out, and then I don't mind watching little independent films, and this one was, you could tell where the low budget was, but at the same time they were really good.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like a low budget movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is scary. You should watch it tonight.
Okay. Tonight? I don't have time tonight.
Tomorrow.
I got a thing.
Tomorrow night.
Maybe tomorrow.
So what's your number 8?
Number 8 for me is just this little movie that came out that kind of like blew like everyone's expectations out of the water. The director of this movie was not known for directing and was definitely not known for like horror movies, so I can't seem to figure out when this movie came out. But that's fine. 2018 it came out. It's a short little movie I've seen maybe twice, maybe 3 times, but nothing will beat when I saw it in theaters. So this movie is called A Quiet Place. Did you see this in theaters?
I saw it with you.
That's right. 2018 was a long time ago.
I saw it with you in theaters.
We talked about it on a podcast.
And we did.
No, everything's flooding back to me. But honestly, dude, nothing will compare to watching it in the theater because we've talked so many times about bad experiences in movie theaters.
Yeah.
I think this movie was one of the most like enjoyable experiences at a theater because most of this movie is quiet, like in the title. Right?
But it was also captivating.
Yeah.
To where everybody else was like,
oh shit, we gotta be quiet. You're sucking on the piece of popcorn so it doesn't crunch at all.
Yeah, it just dissolves in your mouth.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who knows
and I
that.
remember talking about it after that in that movie, which I didn't know was going to be like completely silent.
Right.
I just thought it was going to be like, oh, they don't get to talk.
Yeah.
But
no, dude, like.
But in that movie, I usually would get Milk Duds anytime we went to the movies. And that one time, I got Whoppers. And I didn't know Whoppers crunched.
Not that loud.
And when I would eat it, I was like, it was like the loudest fucking Whopper I've ever ate in my life.
Some dude like 6 rows down from you is just like, shut up. But no, I really love this movie. Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, like they really, I mean, they have great chemistry because they're married in real life. So they already have great chemistry. But I thought like the idea of like Earth being overrun by these essentially invincible like alien monster type things that find you without sight. Like they are listening. That's why everyone's so quiet.
Yeah.
So they have to live in silence. And I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And I thought the movie was really good. And I'm gonna rope the second one into this as well. They're both pretty even on my scale of like which one I like more.
Mm-hmm.
The second one I've only seen once. So I really don't want to talk on it too much, except for the fact that I was like, dang, this is a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it felt like, I don't know, better than most sequels feel like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I agree.
I liked both of those movies. That's why they made it to number 8 on my list.
All right.
And my number 7, just so I can get it out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
is Cabin in the Woods.
Ah, sweet.
So I'll be on number 6 after you go for your next ones.
Okay. My number 7, correct? My number 7 terrified me the first time I watched it.
Okay.
2014, we were what, 22?
Yeah.
And I was terrified?
Yeah.
As above, so below.
I wanted to put this on my list so bad.
This movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you take the horror element out of it, though,
It's still scary.
it's still
You mean
scary.
the paranormal,
Like,
right?
yeah.
Like take out the paranormal like evil shit out of it.
Yeah, take that out of it, but then to make these people go spelunking into a cave and just
The
like the way they
catacombs.
shot it
Yeah.
and the way that it was done.
Yeah, you feel claustrophobic.
Oh my God. This movie is terrifying, bro.
That image of the burning car will never leave my brain.
You know, I was literally just thinking about that.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I feel like they used a lot of practical effects in this movie, which added to, you know, the realism of, you know, it puts you in the movie like if it were real.
Yeah, because they're in the catacombs of France, right?
Yeah.
And they start seeing some shit.
Yeah.
And people start going a little crazy.
Crazy.
And then there's things living down there, right? Is that what I remember?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I've seen this because I think we watched this one together too.
Yeah.
But I don't remember seeing it in theaters, so it must have
I
been
don't
at
think we
home.
saw it in theater.
But yeah, no, the movie's scary. Like,
But then like when they leave, dude.
they don't really leave.
Sure, but when
You know?
when they leave through the manhole and they're going up, and then all of a sudden
And
it's
the
like
perspective slip. Yeah.
oh my God, I don't know why that is just like it just trips me out. Like there's a whole different world.
Yeah, because they all start seeing like crazy shit down there, right? Like things from their past.
Yeah,
And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that movie.
it's like luring them in.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That movie's. Yeah, it gets you the heebies and the jeebies. You know?
The heebies and the jeebies and the ick. In a good way, though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
like a horror movie should.
The ick.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, what is your number 6?
Is that what we're on 6?
Yes.
So I've already brought this movie up as we've been talking. This movie's from 2014. A little semi-independent film. Like, I don't think it was huge when it came out, but it's called It Follows.
Okay.
This movie was one of those movies that I had no idea what I was getting into. The trailers really didn't give too much away, and
that's an alien movie.
It's not an alien movie. So basically, it's almost a metaphor for like STDs. Unfortunately, you know. But what happens is you pass the burden along of this demon, this visitor. I don't know what you explain it as, but it's a somewhat like a ghost, I guess. I don't know, some kind of demon ghost thing. And you pass it along by having sex. But what this entity does is it follows you, as the title says, at a walking pace all the time, no matter what. And it's just always coming straight at you.
So then
and if it catches you, it kills you, and then it cycles back to the person before.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if you do the nasty.
But only with the person who has it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if I have it and we do the nasty,
Yeah.
You have it now.
Yeah, and then
And I don't have it no more.
right, and if it killed me, it would go back to
You better fucking hurry up, dude.
you. But the movie, like,
I don't think I've seen this one.
no, I think you should watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing takes different forms as they see it, and if you have it, you're the only one who can see it.
Mm.
And there's some legitimate, like, really good effects in this movie to play that out
Now,
really well.
before I watch it, because I will go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Do they explain how it starts?
No,
because that'll piss me off.
no, you don't need to know though.
No, you don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
I want to know how it starts.
Like, you'll know how it starts with the main character.
Okay,
But you won't know how it started with the guy before.
Well, they
the
did.
Guy
They
before.
did the nasty, obviously.
Yeah, but you see all that, right?
You see the nasty?
No, not that. It's all implied. But I don't know. I really liked it. The movie's got this really cool, like, timeless feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
No one really has cell phones, but then there's this one, like, character in the movie who's got this weird fucking, like, hamburger phone thing. I don't know. It's really weird in all the good ways, and I like the cinematography, the editing, the color, all that stuff. And the acting's great. And like I said, there's some really awesome, like, effects in this movie because the entity can't be seen by anyone else, but it is there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this really cool scene on the beach when it gets him. You know?
Don't tell me. I'm gonna.
I highly
watch
suggest it for a different type of, like, horror movie, because it isn't like jump scary. There's a couple in there, I'll tell you that much. But the one jump scare in there, I just remember saying, like, wow, that was a really good one. Like, you're just like, holy shit, like, my heart is racing. And it's not because the music went, bah, it's not because a gunshot or, like, a dog barked and you didn't hear anything before.
Like, you legitimately were not expecting.
Yeah, the thing comes up. I'm just gonna say that much. I'm not gonna say when or how. The thing comes up, and it is terrifying to see it, like, coming out of the shadows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just like, holy shit.
And it goes,
And it it was similar to, like, the feeling of when you watch Signs for the first time and see the alien walk.
Shut.
Where that scarred me for life. All right, who's next? You or me?
Me. My number 6, because you said number 6, correct?
Mm-hmm.
My number 6 is, drum roll, this guy.
Who?
This guy.
For our audio listeners, who?
This guy.
You? Your life's the horror movie?
No, it's it.
What's it?
It's it.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
My number 6 is it.
What is it?
What is it? It is a very scary clown.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm fucking around a little bit.
No,
but
I'm trying to compose my thoughts now because I'm just trying not to laugh too much.
When I first watched it, listen, let me explain.
Okay, don't talk.
When I watched it for the first time, when I was a child,
OG It with Tim Curry
is the movie that made me terrified of clowns.
Mm-hmm. It'll do that
for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I was terrified of clowns.
I remember,
and I've watched the movie maybe 2 times after that.
Mm-hmm.
Still terrified, obviously, and to this day, I'm actually still terrified of clowns. Just not as bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I go to a haunted house and there's clowns, oh hell no!
You're punching that motherfucker in the face.
I'm actually gonna run.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a clown attacking me, I would be too scared to fight.
Yeah, and that's not like you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. You're the fight or flight. You're going
fight
all
or flight. Well, with clowns.
Yeah.
But as I got older, got less and less scared of clowns, like seeing it online or in a movie or whatever. I just got a little desensitized to it.
Nice.
That's what I was going to say.
Look at us.
So look at us. So when I watched the new It,
I
loved it.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it. The second one, not so much.
Yeah, It Part 1, great.
It Part 2, not so great. But then I went back and watched the original, and it still holds up.
Yeah?
It's a
I
good
couldn't
movie.
sit through that whole thing. It's like 4 hours long.
Well, it's
'Cause
in
it was a-
different parts.
Yeah.
But like when I owned it, so we owned it. My parents thought it would be funny to buy it for me, on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
So it has two sides,
Yeah.
right? Part 1 and Part 2. So it's basically two movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost exactly how the remake is done.
Yeah.
But it's still a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I even bought the audiobook and I never listened.
Yeah, that'll take you a good like 27 hours or longer.
27 months.
I remember we went to go see it opening night for the Part 1. I mean, we all knew it was Part 1 even then.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about the movie was feeling like OG, like 80s movies, like everything we liked in horror movies and just movies in general. The cast was great. We liked all the kids they had cast. Which Skarsgård is Pennywise? Is it Bill? Bill Skarsgård?
Bill Skarsgård.
That sounds right. He's awesome. Like he's just great. He gives so much life to this character of Pennywise.
Mm-hmm.
And he's creepy, and he just can do all these things
with his face.
Yeah, he's just great. And I just remember me personally being pissed off because this was before COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't really assigned seating like there is now. Now it's all pretty much assigned. But do you remember that we couldn't sit together? Like we had to split the party, and you had to go. You were way up at the top, and we sat at the very front. And
I don't remember that.
I was sad that I wasn't gonna be able to see your reactions to watching this movie because when it came out, you were still pretty scared of clowns.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just remember seeing you afterwards, and you were just like, "That was." But yeah, the part 1 of it is really awesome.
Yeah.
Part 2, I should probably rewatch it. I've only seen it twice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember it being as good. But again, the casting is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They got everyone perfect, I think.
Yeah.
I just remember feeling a bit off with the sequel. So
Yeah. The pacing.
Yeah.
The pacing and the Pennywise sequences were not as good. I don't think, not as suspenseful and all that. So what is your next one?
So my next one,
number 5.
My next one is another series. But I'm specifically narrowing it down to just 2.
Okay.
So it's Cloverfield. So Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane specifically.
There's more?
Yeah, there's like one more.
Oh, the Paradox?
Yeah, which was really bad.
Right. Right.
Specifically in the order of Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane, though, because I think they're both really awesome. And I watched both of these movies yesterday because I wasn't sure how I wanted to rank them. But I think Cloverfield is my favorite of the 2. 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's obvious that the movie wasn't going to be a Cloverfield tie-in in some aspects. But also Mary Elizabeth Winstead again comes up into my list. And John Goodman. Like they are so good in 10 Cloverfield Lane. John Goodman is terrifying. I love that the movie is really like confined into one space. It's 3 actors. Bradley Cooper's in that movie. Did you know that? He's the voice on the phone when she's driving.
Oh,
which
I want to
thought,
say I recognized it.
I just think it's really funny anytime I think about it.
Yeah.
But the reason that Cloverfield wins is because it was so different when it came out. It was like a resurgence of found footage movies, and I think seeing the destruction and like chaos of a monster attacking New York from someone's handheld camera. Was a really cool idea. I remember everyone complaining that they got sick when they watched the movie. And as someone who gets sick sitting in a car in general, like I get sick anytime I'm not driving in a car, that movie doesn't make me sick. So I don't get why everyone's complaining.
They're a bunch of wusses.
That's not what I'm saying. I just don't get it.
That's what I'm saying.
But both of those movies, they're scary in their own ways. I think if you cut out the end of Cloverfield Lane, where she gets out and there's aliens, if you cut that out, the movie would have probably overtaken the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. The Cloverfield name doesn't need to be aliens. It could just be the universe. I don't care. I don't give a shit. But I love both of those movies a lot, and they're both really, really awesome. So that's all I'm gonna say on those ones.
Sweet.
My next one's gonna be a fun one. What's your next
Wussies.
one? What's your next one?
My next one,
Mm-hmm.
number 5.
Yeah.
It's a big series.
Mm-hmm.
Big. The franchise, probably.
Yeah.
At this point, I recently started rewatching them from number 1.
Okay.
It came out in 1980.
Oh.
Old one. 1980. Friday the 13th.
Okay.
And I love Jason Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, started watching at like the 9th one.
Yeah.
Was like probably like the first one I ever saw. And, you know, me and my parents would watch them here and there, but never like in order. And then, you know, like Freddy vs. Jason came out. I loved it personally. And then Jason X came out, which was really shitty, but still loved it.
Yeah.
So when I finally went back and watched all of them, like all the way through, not in one sitting, obviously, but I really love how they built the character Jason Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch the first one, Jason is not the killer, which obviously everyone should know that.
And especially because another horror movie, like, really make sure that you know that.
Yeah. But Jason's not the killer on the first one. It's the mom.
Yeah.
But then in the second one, Jason is the killer.
Right. Because now he's mad that his mom's
He's
dead.
mad his mom's dead.
Yeah.
But then, like, he doesn't have the hockey mask. He doesn't have the creepy suit.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like Sloth.
Yeah.
From
The
Goonies. But then he has a bag over his head, a sheet with one eye hole.
Mm-hmm.
And he rocked that for like 2 movies.
Yeah.
And I can't remember when he got the hockey mask, but like I'm currently rewatching. I'm on the 3rd one right now, and he still doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So I don't remember when that happens, but the character development was there. His motive was there. The mom's motive was there.
Yeah.
And then just the progression of all the movies in general, I think is really awesome.
Yeah.
And I could watch those anytime.
I haven't watched the first couple in a long time now. Isn't Kevin Bacon in the first one?
Yep, he's in the first one.
And he gets just mutilated through the mattress with the machete, right?
Yep. Well, not the machete.
No.
I don't know what it is. I think it was just an arrow.
Was it an arrow?
From a bow and arrow?
Was it?
I think it was just an arrow.
I need to go back.
Or maybe it was just a knife, but it wasn't a machete. But yeah, through the mattress. Yeah. After he just did the nasty.
Because that's the big thing with these old movies, especially in the 80s and 70s and stuff, like horror movies. If you're having sex, you're dying.
But then I feel like Friday the 13th was the first movie that I know of that really started just not caring about the sex and the drugs and the nudity and the you know, full frontal nudity of the men and women, you know? Like I don't know if they did the men. And that doesn't matter. But still, like, I feel like they were pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
Just from the first and second movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
I felt like that was pretty frowned upon at that time. I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't around in the 80s.
Me neither. So the next one on my list is also from the 80s.
Okay.
But it started out in the 70s as a short, right? Then it got turned into a movie. So the short film was called Within the Woods from 1978. But then it became full-fledged movies. In 1981, this movie came out. This movie to me is disgusting. It is bloody, gory, almost laughable with how much gore there is. And that movie is The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead 2 is The Evil Dead again, like it should be, but also different. The first two movies are the same, but I think The Evil Dead 2 way better than the first one. Army of Darkness, fucking nuts. But then I really want to focus on the remake and the sequel that we got this year.
So Evil Dead is on my list as well.
Okay.
So we can talk about it now.
Okay.
But I'll let you know when it comes up.
Okay. Just like I did with the other one before?
Yeah.
Sick. But I really want to point out, because I rewatched Evil Dead, the 2013 one, after watching Evil Dead Rise.
Okay.
Evil Dead Rise might be like one of my favorite like scary movies of all time.
Fantastic.
And I think again it's back into the small cast, one location for the most part. I mean, I'd say it's more of a medium cast. There's all the kids and stuff in the hallway, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a smaller cast. All takes place in one apartment building. It's just awesome and it's scary. Like, it's disgusting and gross and scary, and I just really love Sam Raimi's horror movies. But then I went back and rewatched Evil Dead. Forgot all about it. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be tied for Evil Dead 2 with how much I like them. You know?
I think they're so different. And another reason why I like this film series so much is that they're all different books. So they're all connected, right? So even the one from, when was the first one? 1980?
Evil Dead, yeah. 81.
81. Even the first one, I remember having like horrible fucking nightmares just from the book alone.
Of the Evil Dead?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, just like fucking
the face of the Necronomicon?
Yeah. And I feel like they're all going to kind of
be brought together.
Come together at some point.
Hell is going to rage.
I heard that there's 5 books. And we haven't found the 5th one yet.
Yeah. And if the way that Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 happened, it's like they're the same movie twice. Just with more money. So
I'm gonna go to my number 5.
Okay.
And to be honest, I feel like we shouldn't talk about it so much because we did a whole episode on it.
Okay. I think I know what you're gonna say.
My number 5 is Scream.
Okay. Scream's definitely on my list.
Everybody knows how much we love Scream.
I'm
wearing a damn shirt.
Get the mask.
We got the mask here.
That's it.
That's all we got. But
yeah.
But you know what? Scream is great. And if you want to hear what we think about Scream, you should check out our older episode. I don't even remember which episode it is.
It was a quickie for Scream 6, wasn't it?
Was it? Go check out our episode on Scream 6.
But yeah, I could talk about Scream for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And as we're already in 45 minutes.
Right.
All I'm gonna say about Scream is it's number 2 on my list.
Okay.
I love the series. The first 2 are great. Third one's kind of meh. Fourth one's kind of meh. 5 and 6, great.
Great.
And I can't wait to see what happens on the next one. And I really hope Neve Campbell comes back. I will always forever have a crush on Neve Campbell.
All right. Number
3. For me or for you?
I'm just gonna get mine out of the way because Evil Dead's my number 2.
Evil Dead's your number 2. Okay. Scream's my number 2.
Okay. So, my number 3 is The Exorcist.
Terrifying.
It is terrifying. All the movie. Well, there was a movie coming out it came out or it's coming out.
I don't know.
There's a new movie coming out
Uh-huh.
this week, or it's already out. One of those two.
It's either out or it's not.
And it looks fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
it's
don't
an
even know if
Exorcist
I
movie?
want. Yeah.
Like a sequel?
Yeah. It's a new Exorcist
I'll have to look
movie.
into it. I've never heard of
I
it.
don't know if it's a sequel.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I don't know anything about it.
But just watch the trailer, or I'll show you the trailer after the episode.
Mm-hmm.
It looks terrifying.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if I want to watch it in the theater.
Okay.
But what made me put it on my list is not only are all the movies good, like any Exorcist movie they've made have been good and fucking scary.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one, which came out in 1973, it still holds up.
Yeah,
dude.
it's like in the top 10 IMDb horror movies, right?
Yeah, and 1973, yeah. So it still holds up. Me and Maria watched it recently,
Yeah.
like a couple months ago. Recently, it holds up. Like, you would never think that like that movie was made
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s. You know,
Yeah.
like the cheesy acting. I guess maybe there was some, but
But also like acting back in the 70s was way different than it is now, you know?
yeah.
So it might seem cheesy now, but it was just the norm back then.
But then again, we're pushing the boundaries, especially with the girl who was possessed.
Linda Blair.
Yes. And you know, they were pushing the boundaries on their effects,
Mm-hmm.
pushing the boundaries
Split
on
pea soups. Split pea soup recipes skyrocketed after this movie.
and then also the way she talked,
Yeah.
her language, foul fucking mouth.
Yeah. From a
You kiss your
child.
mother with that mouth?
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
No, for real.
I watched it and I'm like, I can't even believe she said that.
Yeah. Now, today, in today's world, in
today's world.
2023.
It's like, Jesus, you said that in 1973?
I didn't know that word was invented.
But yeah, I love The Exorcist. It's my number 3.
Mhm.
And I really wanted it to be higher. And I feel like if we had a longer, that wouldn't work. But I wish I could have like 3 number 1.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
get
mean?
that. Because my number 3, my 2, and my 1, it was really hard to like move those around. But my number 3, I'm just gonna be real quick about this one, is Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
A lot of my love for this movie just comes from I love Edgar Wright and all the movies that he has made. I love. The sequence in the bar where they're beating up zombies to the beat of "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen will forever be in my brain. I remember watching this when it came out. It was like 2004. So I think we might have watched it in like 2006. But I just remember our friend Artie had rented it and said, "You need to watch this."
Yeah.
So I came over, we watched it, and that was it. Like, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we rented this movie from Blockbuster.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I love
And it's funny.
It's funny. It's got, I wouldn't say it's scary, really.
Yeah, it's
but
not really scary.
It deals with some scary stuff, you know.
Mhm.
But I just love this whole trilogy of the Cornetto trilogy. Anytime I get a chance to talk about any of Edgar Wright's movies, I will find the way to talk about Edgar.
So like what is it? At World's End?
The World's End
Or The World's End?
and Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Shaun of the Dead, Hot
great
Fuzz,
movies.
The World's End, all have one thing in common. And we're not talking about those movies, but the thing is that those movies hold, like, the reason they're considered a trilogy is it's just an everyday guy going through something fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. And I just love Shaun of the Dead. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest it. It's one of those movies that I just get the British humor, and I love Edgar Wright's directing and editing style. And that's it. Short and sweet.
So your number 2 is Scream.
My number 2 is Scream. Love
My
it.
number 2 is Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. So
Now-
now it's the last.
Getting into the nitty gritty.
I mean, we're past the nitty. We're at least in the gritty.
We're getting into the gritty.
The gwitty.
The gritty.
He's wittily gwitting.
So my number 1,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how you feel about these movies. It's a series.
Mm-hmm.
We've never really talked about it, to
Okay.
be honest. But it is the Conjuring universe series, I guess.
Personally, I've seen like 2 of them.
Okay.
So I was looking at them on my list. Like they're not on my list. But while I was making my list, I
Mm-hmm.
was going through like Prime and all the streaming sites, and they kept coming up. And I was like, wow, there's really like 50 of these movies, you know?
So that's the thing is in the last 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
they've made 8 movies.
Yeah.
So it's almost
A movie.
one a year.
Yeah, per year.
I really love the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one. So let me just go through all the movies real quick.
Yeah.
And this is an order of, so there is a chronological order to these movies, which is, I love that. I think it's very interesting.
But they didn't come out in chronological order.
No. So chronologically, we have The Nun from 1952.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Annabelle Creation took place in 1958. Annabelle, 1970. The Conjuring, 1971. Annabelle Comes Home, 1972. The Curse of La 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 Llorona
La 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 la, Llorona.
in 1973.
But is she hot?
On that movie.
Oh, shit.
The Conjuring 2 in 1977, and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It in 1981. But not chronologically. So in the order of release, it was like The Conjuring 2013, Annabelle 2014, The Conjuring 2 2016, Annabelle Creation 2017, The Nun 2018. 2 of them came out in 2019. Annabelle Comes Home and La La Llorona. And then The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It 2021. So less than 10 years.
Yeah.
They came out with 8 movies.
That's wild, man.
Actually, they do pretty much 1 a year and 2 in 1 year. The only year they skipped was 2015. Wow.
That's a lot of movies.
But I wouldn't change the way they did it.
And it's all centered around like Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just pulling a lot of shit out of thin air right now.
Yeah.
Played
Ed and
by
Lorraine
Vera Farmiga.
Warren.
And what's the other dude? I don't remember his name.
I don't know. I get him confused with Ed or the Arnett. Will Arnett.
Will Arnett.
Get him confused with Will Arnett all the time. Patrick Wilson.
That's right. That's what we said.
The whole thing is just great. I feel like the weaker one of the bunch is La Llorona.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we love that one so much. But the Annabelle is terrifying. Annabelle Creation, where they show the actual demon of Annabelle, got me shitting bricks.
Yeah.
Dude. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
you
it
said,
is.
I haven't seen any of them.
Dude, you're missing out.
I've just seen the first two.
And I really don't want to spoil it too much for you.
Okay.
Because I really want you to watch it.
Mm.
But I do love these movies.
Yeah.
Every single
I
one.
think a lot of people love these movies.
Yeah, and they do. But I feel like not a lot of people love all of them.
Mm.
I love all of them. You understand?
I'm understanding. I hope the people listening at home understand. Or on their commute to work.
So, what is your number one, Brendan?
My number one's super easy. Are you ready?
Okay.
Do you want to guess?
Harry Potter.
No. Harry Potter is also they have fall vibes, they have spooky vibes, but those are Christmas movies, okay? My number one's Psycho.
Of course.
1 and 2.
Okay.
Psycho not only is my favorite movie of all time, but it is my favorite scary movie of all time. Nothing can beat Anthony Perkins I think his portrayal of Norman Bates is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He is scary. He's terrifying. He plays it really childlike, like scary, kind of like someone you would avoid if you met them, right?
But like, that's his character, though.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
it's great.
Like,
And I just love. There's like 2 movies in one with the horror aspect going on, the thriller, psychological, like this guy's a killer, and then the detective movie going on. And I know I've talked about this movie in the past, so I don't really need to talk too much about it.
mm-hmm.
But this movie set off the slasher craze in movies. Like,
yeah,
this is one of the first slasher films. Think about any movie that deals with a killer with a knife. They have the shot of the knife being raised over the head, and it started with this movie.
yeah.
Everyone in the movie's great. I think the sequel is also really good, and I know we talked about it.
I had never seen it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did a really great job with it. And again, Anthony Perkins coming back for it is just fantastic.
First, tell me why that when I was thinking about my list yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's for sure going to be Brendan's number 1.
Because I love.
No,
movie.
no, I'm not done.
Oh, my bad.
Let me
I thought
finish.
it was a question.
Let me finish, please. But today, when I was like thinking about my list again, and like right now while we were talking, I was like, I wonder what his number 1 is gonna be. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, when you said it, I was like, duh. Like,
oh, it's because you think I'm gonna make the same mistake I did for the Stranger Things, and just forget one of my favorite things is.
Why is that not on my list?
Yeah. But yeah, Psycho from 1960. Don't watch if you're gonna watch any of these movies that we've talked about today,
Mm-hmm.
don't watch the one with what's his face? Vince Vaughn. Horrible remake. Just really bad. Vince Vaughn
I don't
can't
even
do
know
it.
what you're talking about.
You haven't seen this one?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna make you watch it now. But if you
Okay.
haven't seen Psycho, watch the first one, OG 1960. It's just perfect. Honestly, it's great. There's nothing I hate about this movie, and there's so many times where I watch horror movies now that give me the vibe of Psycho. Like I just watched X and Pearl.
I haven't seen
Honorable
X yet.
mentions, by the way.
I haven't seen X. Is
But they both had Psycho vibes.
that newer?
Yeah.
That is newer,
Yeah,
right?
they both came out the same year.
It's about them doing the nasty.
Yeah,
But the porn.
X. Yeah,
But the parna.
yeah. Both are pretty. They're both. Yeah, they're both really good. If you haven't watched them, go watch them. I really struggled to not put A24 movies all over my list.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do make really awesome horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like A24 movies to me, they don't feel like Halloween time movies.
That's true.
They feel like anytime movies.
Very fuck your mind movie.
Yeah, because like
you
think
know?
about like Midsummer, summer. That's a summer movie. You know? Summer. Hereditary, that one, that's a fall
I
vibe.
guess fall.
Yeah, it's a fall vibe.
Fallish.
What else am I thinking of? Oh, so like X and Pearl, like they're both kind of summery vibes, man. Like
Lamb.
never watched it.
Never watched
That's
it either.
But if I had
Old.
to pick, Lamb would be. Old's not an A24 movie. That's an M Night Shyamalan movie.
Are you sure? Sure.
I'm pretty sure. But how about you guys let us know down in the comments down below if if you watch scary movies during this time of year. What are you watching? What's your number 1? What's your go-to movie? What are you putting on to scare everyone around you? What movie is on your list that's just on the list because you think it's cool and people should watch it? Those kind of things.
Right.
Did you look up Old?
Yeah, it's an M Night Shyamalan movie.
M. Night
As I
Shyamalan-
said.
As you said?
As I said.
Yeah, okay. But I have so many honorable mentions I would have added to my list. I just watched The Menu last night. Have you seen that?
I've seen it twice.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
really liked it.
I'm actually surprised that I watched it twice. Cause I don't.
You don't
like a movie like that. I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't.
No,
watch it
but like
twice.
Anya Taylor-Joy is great.
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes, right?
Uh-huh.
Anytime I see him, I just think Voldemort, but not this time. Not this time. But if you haven't watched any of these movies on our list, these are ones we recommend.
Yeah, for
Go
sure.
go check them out.
Da-na-na, da-na-na,
The Saw movies.
da-na-na, da-na-na. Yeah, watch Saw.
Watch Saw.
I like
See
Saw.
Saw. All of them.
See Saw.
But thanks again for listening to BJ in the Morning. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at
BJ in the morning _
TikTok at
BJ in the morning _
and Twitch at
BJ in the morning _
My bad, I missed it. And then drop us a like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us on this quick little discussion for an hour and 10 minutes.
On this wonderful ride.
This ride of the things with the movies and the scaries.
And the scaries.
And we will talk to you next time.
Da-na-na, da-na-na,
Is that the outro song this time?
da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na.